Welcome to Hemp Sisters Nation, where you don't need a reservation. I said, Mama, hello, stand with open arms. Here, warn you with a one more time. Yeah, one more time, baby. Welcome to the nation.
Hello.
How you doing?
This is our first live, so we're gonna just give it a second and see if anyone pops in here. We did not let many people know we were doing this.
No.
Actually, 2 people.
We're the 2 people.
So, but we wanna try out a few things. We're gonna start a live show next week. So, right, we just want to get some kinks
Yeah,
out.
we've got to get the kinks out, right?
Right.
So when you have guests that are coming on, you don't really want to just, have those things happen live. So since we don't really have a full grasp of how this thing works and how it's connected to all of our social media challenges, we're going to give it a go. So if you're looking over here, Gina's looking elsewhere, this is why. But in the meantime, we thought we would share some tales of the Hemp Sisters.
Yes. There's some tales.
Okay, they are. Good afternoon, Tommy.
Tommy. Oh, hi. We love Tommy. He's so supportive. Thank you so much.
Thank you for stopping by.
Anyone that pops in, if you could let us know where you're from too, because we want to know who we're talking to and where you're at. So where you at?
We are in central Wisconsin right now, with dreams of being in much beachier places. All right. Oh, this is working out nice. So we're actually on YouTube as well. So if that's your better watching platform, we can hit it on over there too.
Sure can.
Yeah, we broke 500 last month.
We did, and we're only a few months in, so it's solid. We'll take it. Okay, so today, Tommy specifically, thank you for your undivided attention.
Yes.
But we'll let you guys know in advance next week when we actually start our show. But again, we just wanted to kind of do a little practice today. Yeah. So we came up with some questions, and these are some frequently asked questions that we get, in our DMs or on posts or, whatever. So the first question was, what did both Lois and I do before we became entrepreneurs? So what was our past life like?
Let me go first. Yeah. I got more of a role thing, when I left in high school, I wanted to be a cosmetologist. So I did that. I did that for maybe 10 years out of high school, but I ended up doing more management in that, in that world. I left that and went into the hospitality industry in my later career. So that's where I really spent most of my meat and potato career, is in guest service management.
Sharpening those customer service skills.
Really honing in on the customer service skills, It's just kind of really where I fit in best with my personality. In that scenario, I was able to mentor and create training programs and just really inspire others to embrace the hotel culture. Right. And so that was probably one of the coolest jobs I've ever had, being able to baby that from, and make that mine. So
absolutely
made a lot of cool people too. And now I do this every day.
Who we got? Who else? We got David Nurnberg.
Yeah.
Excellent to see you too. Excellent to see you, David. Thank you for joining us.
God, we're awesome.
What did Hawaii do? You couldn't yourself? And we got Tommy in Dallas, one of our free states. Way to be.
Hey.
LinkedIn user. We're not sure. I think your profile might be private, but Sacramento, the beautiful sunny state of California.
Yeah.
My hubby's from San Francisco, so you guys are neighbors.
Yes, sir.
All right, Dave's in Colorado Springs. Beautiful. Finberg, Oxnard Shores. Wow, California in the house. I love it.
One of my favorite life experiences was driving from Illinois to, US Route 1 and riding that up the entire Pacific coast. I had never been so awestruck of it was just, it was like seeing the Grand Canyon for the first time, but for like 200 miles, you know what I mean? Just this constant, just so beautiful.
Hola. Is in your house, shine bright.
Oh,
so sweet.
Thank you. You too, love.
All right, so Lois dabbled in cosmetology, ran off to run some high-end hotels, and whilst all that was happening, I was educating our future.
Yeah.
I taught physical education, health, and I coached basketball for 15 years outside of Chicago. 2013 was my last year teaching, very specifically because I was no longer welcome as a teacher. I was very honest about hemp. I taught about this plant that we love instead of teaching propaganda, and that didn't go well. So I was kind of catapulted into entrepreneurship.
Wow.
It was not my plan, but it's what the stars had aligned for us, and we wouldn't have it any other way. The bear has awakened from her slumber, right?
I mean, I gotta tell you, like, before we were moms, we were mama bears. You know what I mean? You get this, you know.
I had a million kids.
Yeah.
Right.
Gina's experience her experience, life-changing, even the ripple effect to me.
Sure.
You know, it's completely changed the course of our lives.
Right.
You know?
Right. Big time.
Yeah.
Big
So if you ever think you can't make a difference or do anything, just your words and actions are so powerful, people.
Yeah.
They really are.
Don't be afraid to inspire.
Yes.
Okay, so what did you both do before becoming entrepreneurs? So we did that. We dabbled in hotel management and high school education, and then we dove headfirst into the hemp and cannabis space, with our passion being mainly education because of, you know, our past and what we had both done with our lives. So the second most frequently asked question, oh, this is a good one. What age did you both try cannabis for the first time?
I get asked that a lot.
Yeah.
I was 17. Thank you, Mr. O'Brien. John O'Brien. Oh, John.
Nice guy.
17 years old. Yeah, it was the first time. We used to meet at the park at the Catholic high school in the back after dark. And then it was, I didn't smoke a lot in the beginning. It was just kind of here and there. And I had was friends with a lot of people in an older crowd.
Sure.
So I was introduced to other drugs much earlier than I said.
Right. And I, like, exact opposite. I bought into Dare, hook, line, and sinker. This plant was going to kill me for sure, and my family and my friends, and I believed all the lies. I really did. Yeah. So my first experience with this plant wasn't until I was 23 and had like a ridiculous tragedy in my life. So I lost my dad suddenly. I was on Xanax and Valium and, you know, living in a cloud. And eventually my family talked me into trying this plant instead of, you know, these hardcore drugs that were ruining my life. And I did. And it changed my life. Like, I've never gone back. I was, you know, 23 years old. I'm going on 48. It's been every day of my life since. I got off 2 terribly addictive pharmaceuticals in 60 days. And I've never had either one since. And this plant is, I would say, saved my life. Undoubtedly saved my life.
And as a person, the peripheral vision of all that, you know, something we don't always talk about when it comes to those types of addictions and stuff and coming off of those things and stuff, what that actually does for the people around us.
Right.
You know what I mean? So we always look at the individual. This is important for the individual. This is their journey, you know, but with addictions and things, the people around you are most affected. And that takes a lot of healing too. So it's, you know, cannabis, in your case, being a tool to kind of get you out of a certain place in life.
Open my eyes, open my mind. I was so closed-minded.
Right. But it affected other things that were not cannabis related for you to open your mind, because if you're wrong about that, like what else could you possibly be wrong about?
So I think I know that I don't. Right.
Right. And, you know, have that degree for. Like, it's just all so maddening.
Crazy.
Hey, Dave. Hemp Farm, New Zealand.
Nice. Oh, hemp farming across the world. We love it. Italy. Roberto. Oh, ciao. Milan.
These are 2 places that I am dying to visit. It's New Zealand.
Human functional capacity is a tricky art.
She has a magnet on her fridge. It was like something about adulting.
Yes, no, it's true. It's not for everyone.
Not for everybody.
And I didn't sign up for most of it, honestly.
Right.
Number 3. Are hemp and cannabis the same? Excellent question.
There's genus cannabis, and you've got indica, you've got sativa, you've got hybrids, you've got rudialis, and you've got, we're going to use this not in a scientific way, but you've got CBD dominant cannabis, and that is what we like to refer to as hemp. Right. It's a conundrum of a question, right? Because it's a plant. It has different species, and each species has its own constituents, right? We have one federally illegal constituent of that plant, which is THC. And this is what really, I think, if you wanted to keep it as simple as possible, that's kind of how you would define that. You would use that legality factor to redefine them. On a scientific level, it has no matter. You know what I mean? So, I mean,
and I think even cannabis people are a little confused because that last podcast we were on, you know what I mean? I don't think some cannabis people realize that the genetics have evolved so much in what's quote unquote hemp that you don't know whether it's cannabis or hemp. You don't know if it's high THC or low THC by looking at it. You don't know until you see how you feel using it.
We used to grow hemp in the United States for industrial purposes. These are not flowering plants in that sense. But again,
Michael brings up fungi too, mushrooms.
Yeah.
Yes, all of it.
End of the war.
There's a war on Mama Nature.
All right, David, let's get him up on here. What does he say?
I'm working on a proof of concept prototype for safety dispensing joints, blunts, edibles, gummies, etc. Do you help people with bringing their patented life-saving products to the public? Oh my God, we would love to help with that.
Yeah.
I mean, at the very least, there's not a doubt that if we can't personally do it, we know somebody that can. So, David, let's absolutely have a conversation.
Yeah, we're marking you down for a follow-up. You can get a message from Gina on LinkedIn, okay?
For sure. I mean, we're all in this together. I really can't comprehend all the competition in this industry. Like, we need to all come together. This is one plant for the greater good of the entire planet. And, you know, no matter what little sector you fall into, we're all doing it for the right reasons and the same reasons. So let's bring it to the masses. Let's educate the masses and let's do it together. What else we got?
All right, Dave, we opened these wonderful hemp food and fiber products. This is happy 10-year anniversary.
Yay, that's amazing.
Dave, I mean, you know, honestly, being around 10 years, especially in the fiber industrial area of things, I mean, you probably got some wonderful tales to tell as far as where this plant has come through. Now, you are where is Dave from, though? New Zealand, so probably not the same.
Dave, do you collaborate with anyone in the States? Like, that's our biggest issue here. Like, and Lo and I we've talked to so many people about this. We don't have nearly enough people growing for food and fiber. Right. Like, everyone jumped on the CBD craze, and that's, you know, swimming in bullshit, but we need food and fiber, and you're nailing it for now a decade. So we're really behind over here.
Back to your question, like, what's the difference between hemp and cannabis? Like, that is a question that's really going to steer what the next 10 years of this looks like, because we're so heavily focused in, you know, decriminalization. We're you know, we're in all this madness. Is it medicinal? Is it not? You know, recreational, etc. And we're losing the nutritional side of the conversation.
Right. Dave Jordan. Okay. Hemp New Zealand is looking for markets in the U.S. I lived in your wonderful country for 6 years and was okay. All right. Well, let's talk. Let's throw Dave on the list. Let's talk, Dave. Let's absolutely talk. Let's get on a call next week or, you know, whenever you're free. I don't know what the time difference is, but we will make it happen. I mean, this is crucial. This is crucial in every country, but, you know, we've got to start somewhere, and it should be a little easier legally to start with nutrition and fiber. So
yeah, I know.
I love it.
Basics, you know what I mean? This allows people to understand that their choice in cannabis and hemp isn't just to, you know,
smoke a joint, right?
You know, we were so blown away by how many people didn't really know that they could just go to the grocery store right now and get cold pressed hemp seed oil and replace their olive oil or whatever.
Hemp seeds in their yogurt in the morning. Right? They had no idea.
It's wonderful to meet you too, Dave. And
it's a pleasure.
All these Daves.
I love
it. Is the Dave.
No, we're all over this, guys. We'll be messaging you both. We're gonna get on calls and we're gonna collaborate until this world is overgrown with hemp. That's our goal.
That's true.
Okay. This kind of ties in, and you started to talk about this a little bit. So the next question after our hemp and cannabis, like the differences, is the differences between CBD and THC. Huge confusion again.
In our daily life, when we talk about hemp that has been genetically low THC, high CBD dominant, the only question really becomes with THC is it's not really about getting high because you can't. You know what I mean? You can just chug it all you want. You're not going to. It's the legal limit.
It's barely existent.
Right. But where we lose that conversation is you know, people not being educated about THC, so they don't want to try a full plant or whole plant extract. So we're not doing a very good job on consumer level understanding, you know, individual cannabinoids and their benefits.
Right.
You know, so there's that. But THC is medicinal.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you have to be able to have that conversation when you are in a medical condition that THC may help you with.
Oh, it has such a bad rap. Like, it has such a bad rap. They got me. I believed the lies, you know, and now this is my entire life. Like, they just.
Right. Jenny, you always say too, you know, health, not high.
Right.
You know, there is a place for that. When the first time you started smoking, 17, you didn't smoke, you know, to, you know, cure that pain. Although you might have had some effects that helped with your pain. You didn't put that together.
Right.
You know, science is trying to take those things and put them together and create a path for cannabis, medical cannabis, and being a legitimized, you know, way to manage and mitigate your pain and other avenues. Hemp kind of got there in a more broader way to the consumer because of the legality thing. So, you know, you're saying that THC products are toxic. Yeah. So that's the other thing that happens when you don't have, you know, states in the United States, you know, do their best or try to build the model of what does testing, what does growing look like. You know, I just saw an article about DuPont, though, getting involved with fertilizer. So where is this going?
Right.
You know, so.
Michael, thank you for that information. I mean, that's awesome. That is awesome. Johnny! Johnny in the house.
Stop in the house.
Yeah.
We had the best time on it. It was just.
We really did.
We really did.
We're following Johnny and Pacalolo.
Yeah.
Podcast. Get on it.
Check out
good stuff.
The threads there.
Yeah. Johnny, throw a link up, man.
All right. So what else he said? You cannot combine science with objective science.
Right. Yeah.
I think in anything, you know, the opinions that are formed, they don't ever, you know, they stick to the minds of individuals. How do they move the masses?
Right.
You know what I mean? And unfortunately, we've allowed government to tell us how they're going to rule the masses.
Right.
You know,
cool.
But that does not mean you stop the other. You keep looking for the other.
No, right.
Yeah.
Right.
Too much.
All right. So last one that we have is, and this is just the most frequently asked. So we grabbed 5 questions that, you know, people ask the most. Have either of you ever had a negative experience using cannabis? That's a great question.
Yes.
Because obviously we talk about all the positives all the time, but there can be negatives. I mean, I can speak for myself, and I don't know if I consider it a negative other than just a reality check for me. So I started using cannabis at 23, and so I'm 20 plus years with this plant every day. And my husband and I decided to move to Washington. You know, I had to resign from teaching, and we want to get into this industry. We want to grow cannabis. We want to be caregivers. We want to learn this industry inside and out. And wow. I mean, we
were from the Midwest.
Wow.
We really only got that ditch weed for a good whatever.
Right, so
hydroponics was
that was the be all end all. So I get to Washington and I'm like a kid in a candy store, like there's vapes and there's joints and there's pre-rolls and there's concentrates and you're dabbing and you're vaping and you're ingesting and there's any edible he could fathom is at my fingertips and I'm
they just unicorn stuff.
Right,
we literally have to send a family member to California to get things and drive it back for us, including ecstasy, whatever.
So my first market experience, like a cannabis market, I'm going nuts. I'm like shopping everything I could buy, I'm buying. So I get to the last table and it's these extra strength edibles, and I'm like, oh please, extra strength. I've been using cannabis for 20 years. You can't, whatever. And it's maybe this big, and she tells me it's 4 doses. That this is 4 doses. She's look at me in my eyeballs. This is 4
you
doses.
Hear me?
This is not to eat, okay? So okay, lady, whatever.
Right.
I got this. So I eat half of it. So I double what she tells me because obviously I know way more than this person who's doing this. Right? So I take this double amount, and within the hour, I am drooling in a corner. I cannot move. I can't open my eyes. I can't function. I can't cook. I can't clean. I'm gone for the day. So again, not necessarily a negative experience. I got great rest, but a reality check.
You learn too that, the method of dosing is different between the ways you dose, whether you're inhaling, whether you're topically using, whether you are eating it. They all have, even though it might be the same strain and everything, they all have different effects on how it's metabolized. Right. My experience, I I don't fare thee well with high THC, you know, in these particular methods, like concentrates and stuff. You know what I mean? Like if I, you know, want to sit and smoke bowls all day, like I can handle that for some reason. It doesn't do the,
Not the same.
no, but when I have to metabolize it, like I enter a existential dread. It doesn't matter what's going on around me. I'm in a ninth dimension, and it's a very sad, dark place, and it includes heart palpitations, and that's just because of the panic of, you know, what's going on.
Right.
So, you know, some people, and I don't know why, I always, as I got older, I kind of thought that was tied to experiences with other drugs that I've walked away from and been sober from, that I think that something in there kind of triggered the same kind of pathway. You know, it's not a medical diagnosis, it's what I personally feel because of the feelings that created around that. But, so I don't do that, you know, I don't.
Well, I'm glad you're talking about that because people need to know that high THC is not for everybody. Mm-hmm. It's never going to be for everybody, but you know, knowing that is the first step.
Right.
You know, because how else do you know? That's the biggest thing about this plant. Like you really gotta figure out what works for you. There is no just, you know, take 2 and call me in the morning. Like it's not that cut and dry, and everybody's so different, and our systems are so different. Our DNA, our makeup, like we're, you know, one person to the next could be night and day.
No, and even using like high CBD with THC to try to like balance out that effect, it doesn't work like that, you know. Right. But that is actually one of the things that you can do to try to ward off some of the more undesired effects of THC when you're using it medically, because you want to have the you know, you're using it for something, and then but you don't like that side effect of it, you know. But no, and even D8 kind of gets me into a borderline there. I prefer that.
It's just a different THC. It's a different type of THC.
Right. It's missing 1 carbon.
Yeah, 8 instead of 9.
But you know, so there are things you can do to mitigate that, and also understanding, you know, what you're taking and reading, you know, C of A's, understanding what's in the flower, what's in the concentrate. You know, certain terpenes might not fare well with you. Certain cannabinoids might not fare well with you. So
and you want to make sure it's clean extraction. You know what I mean? That's, and I don't want to get too over everybody's head, but you want to make sure, like Lo's saying, clean medicine. So that boils down to how it's extracted from the plant and what the labs are using and what the test results say. And sometimes you don't need just 1 test result. Sometimes you need 2 or 3 because they're so off.
Yeah, it's not an exact science. No. It's the best gauge that we have. And the other gauge is you trying things and understanding what you're trying, what's in it, where, you know, where the constituents of it, and then finding products that work for you. You know, and finding people that are knowledgeable about what you are ingesting or wanting to take. And that's all right, David. Okay, David.
Yeah.
Is looking for a licensing agreement. It's a secure stash medication dispenser that only dispenses a doctor prescribed. Oh, like a vendor.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, the person that owns a device. It's unique. It represents a need, benefit, value. Overdosing it. Yeah. If you can help, let's talk soon. We will reach out.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, we don't know if we can help until we try. So we don't have ever anything to lose. Anybody, like, you know what I mean? Let's have a conversation. You don't ever know where anything's going until we try.
No.
I mean, we have mad connections all over the world. You know, we have a ton of connections in this industry, as well as the money people that are, you know, drooling to get into this industry. So they're all there waiting. Yeah. So, you know, the right thing at the right time, it's going to change your life and the world's. Yeah.
Probably the coolest thing about what we do, where it started, and
Sector connector.
Sector connector. Ooh.
Thank you.
That's super hot.
Thank you.
Like nectar with sector. Sector connector. You heard it here first. You know, like where this all started, we were going back to some of these questions, like, you know, being involved in a community of people. So this started with moms and having that question of, can they use cannabis on their kids, and, you know, person A is doing it and person B can't, and all of these things. And, you know, building relationships with people on a one-on-one level, learning, connecting, networking. But with cannabis, the grassroots end of it is just, it's more for your soul, you know, and that unity of, you know, we're not alone with like everything. People deal with the same shit every single day. You know, your venture into LinkedIn has taken those core beliefs and, you know, missions and that cycle and moved it into a way to organize, strategize, and professionally get information, get people
and hopefully kind of break the stigma. Because even I was worried about that stigma. You know, I mean, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm professional. You guys see me every day. I'm on video. I'm talking. We're hanging out. We're having conference calls. We're Zooming. We're doing our thing. I don't know. Do you guys know that I'm high 24 hours a day? No, because this plant is in my system all day long. It helps me maintain homeostasis, which I didn't know, 20 some years ago, that's what was happening. I never felt crazy high. I never felt out of sorts. I felt my body even out. And I think that's a huge misconception of people, and they're afraid of getting high or that feeling, you know what I mean? But wouldn't blink an eye at taking Vicodin from the doctor. So that we really have to work on the educational piece. And Lo and I got education coming out this fall, and it's going to take all of us, guys. It's going to take all of us. So whether you're in the industry or not, if you learn something, teach somebody what you learned and go from there. And that's how we do this together.
Yeah, something beautiful with that whole thing. Like, you have no problem taking that Vicodin thing. I don't think it's because people think, oh, well, it's been tested, it's been tried, it's been true, and I trust my doctor. You have to advocate for yourself.
Yes.
Period. We have, if you had that logic, then you've now entered the opioid epidemic, right? A true epidemic of people's lives off that logic, been tested, tried, and true, right? So if you can do that, you know what I mean, and put the trust and just hand it off to another person that's put time to read things and learn things that might be helpful for you, why can't you do that with cannabis?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, is it worth trying that? Is it worth knowing that person A that, might not become addicted to opioids, might use them for the acute injury they have, get off them, and life goes on as usual.
Right. They might still be constipated, though.
You're going to be constipated. Or when you find out that acute injury that you've had isn't quite acute, now you're chronically in pain. Right. Are you going to continue that course knowing, I'm a person that had an opioid addiction, but heroin. So, you know what I mean? It's, where does that logic stop, right? Where does it stop, and where do you get a hold of your life? You know what I mean? And for us, cannabis has a story to help people through that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And a lot of things.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I would say it absolutely saved me. I mean, it 100% saved me mentally, physically, emotionally, got me out of my own living hell. I was in a living hell. I wasn't living, and that changed my life. And you can't have that experience and not want someone else to feel that. Just the humanity, the your soul. You know what I mean? Once you feel that, you want to give that gift to somebody, and people just have to be open to it. So you just got to have an open mind. Do some research, educate yourself, and then you make your best choice. No one's saying don't go to the doctor, don't believe your doctor, you know what I mean?
No.
Everyone's got their opinions about doctors and whatnot, but do your own research, arm yourself with education, and make the best choice for you and your family. That's all we could ever ask.
I always get annoyed. I get annoyed when people say, they don't want to do that with their doctors, they don't want to have conversations. Right. It's people that that think like that. I think they think that it's the conversation is they're trying to challenge the doctor. Aren't you trying to be part of the conversation of your body? Right. So, however your doctor interprets that, is that your problem? If you don't know about that you have an endocannabinoid system, what that is, you can't ask your doctor that. Right. Or is it just we assume it would be relevant if he or she had said something? You know what I mean? You learning about something isn't I'm anti, I'm non-compliant.
No, right?
It's really not. It's about being able to have a conversation with somebody who knows something about the subject matter, not be the master or professional of it, but having a stake in the conversation.
And like Lo said, don't be afraid to start that conversation. It doesn't matter how uncomfortable your doctor gets. This, like she said, it's you. This is your body. You get one. You know what I mean? So
doctor gets annoyed with you asking a question oh, I'm going to take this medicine. You just told me it's going to help me here, but am I?
Side effects.
You know what I mean? I tell you, because we have conversations like this with our doctors,
right.
And the pushback isn't unwanted. It's it's no. Let me help explain why I don't think it's going to happen to you.
Right.
Right. And okay. Well, now I feel better because you're actually putting me in the equation here. We're not just looking at some random information, and we're not just talking about cannabis, people. Everything.
Yeah. I mean, we accidentally taught my doctor something 2 years ago. I had a ridiculous bone tumor, 9.5 inches, wrapped around the head of my femur. I mean, just ridiculous. I could barely walk. So I'm going in to get ready for surgery. I'm finally, eligible for this surgery, and I got to do all the pre-shit to make sure I'm, not going to die on the table. And he tells me my liver enzymes were raised. And I'm like, oh yeah, of course they are. I use cannabis. It's, my liver's processing. I'm using an obscene amount of cannabis because of, this tumor and the protocol that I was using to get into surgery type thing. He didn't believe a word I said. He put me through absolute hell. Lois pulled up documentations, like little NIH studies to show this man the truth. He wouldn't look at anything. And then I told him, I was like, give me a day. Let me stop cannabis for 1 day. Come back in here, take my blood, and let's go from there. I did that. Stopped cannabis for 1 day. They took my blood. My liver was right back down to where it's supposed to be. Scheduled my surgery, and I started cannabis again. Now, he never said, like, thank you, or like, but I know he learned something that day. Now, whether he uses that information, I'll never know, but I'll tell you, it made me feel better. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, doctors use a very specific process when they're researching things. They're even taught how to properly research, right. To have things, how to find good information, because that's important too. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost sarcastic. Like, let me just go to the NIH website and pull up these 50,000 studies, and you can throw them in his face, like, but again,
the information's there.
Why? Right. And
you're choosing ignorance.
You're choosing
choice
right.
to be ignorant.
Right. Now, is that bureaucratic? Maybe. Probably. Maybe. Because a lot of these people, you wouldn't believe what goes on in our inboxes. Right. The face of your public image and what actually happens behind the scenes. Right. We're all human. You know what I mean? But we also have different career paths, and we have things that we have to maintain, or we don't have to, but we choose to maintain in a certain way.
Well, and I'm glad you brought that up, because there are these LinkedIn bigwigs, the real money guys, these finance guys. They're in the inboxes. They want to know, and if they don't know, and if they have a skin cancer that they need help with, that's in my inbox. They're not going to like my post. They're not going to comment on my post, but there's going to be a personal message. I'm going to be helping that person. And that happens every single day. Every single day.
And I'm not even mad at it, because, secrets travel much faster than truth.
That guy is, once we've helped him, he's telling all of his friends. And again, they're not going to like the post and comment on the post, but they're going to be paying attention to the post. Right. And they're going to make sure they're learning from it. It's all we could ever want.
That's all you can want. Right, and then see something's change in legislation.
Right. Outside of me being able to go to the store and get some cannabis leaves with my spinach.
I mean, seriously. We're going to get there.
Yeah, we are. Okay, should we wrap? This is a great start.
Yeah, thank you for sticking around with us. So we talked about like our YouTube links. Next week we'll probably throw Facebook into it.
Yeah, next week we want to start a live show, like a weekly live show, the Hempy Hour, open questions. You guys can come to us with questions. We'll bring questions that we get during the week, and let's do this. Let's do this.
Yeah, let's just do it.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much for joining us, and we will get back to everybody that commented, that needs us to.
We will get on calls. If there's anything else you could think of, shoot a message. Our website, hempsistersnation.com. Send a message there. However you need to get a hold of us, we'll get it. My inbox is a little crazy, so Hemp Sisters Nation might be the better option, but we will get to it, we promise.
Yes. Thank you so much. And what do we do every night? We close that.
One love.
Welcome to the nation. I said, welcome to the nation.